Crime scenes like this have become a familiar sight in London, disturbing signs of a nationwide spike in knife attacks. In just 1 year, more than 40,000 knife assaults were reported in England and Wales, the highest level since statistics have been kept. In London so far this year, dozens of people have been fatally stabbed. In a moment, a possible reason for this increase and the case for a controversial countermeasure. But first, some grassroots efforts to turn the tide of violence. The CBC's Thomas Dagla has our dispatch from London.
Riding through East London with Robin Travis means retracing a path of bad memories.
I got stabbed there, a whole bunch of cars came down here. Nothing to really make a hurrah about. My mate got shot there as well in the same place I got stabbed.
This borough, Hackney, is where Travis spent his younger years and where he was drawn into violence as a teenager. The experience influences him now as an adult.
It can make you cold. It's just a reminder of what changed me as a human being. It changed my mindset.
These streets still see bloodshed, now stemming from London's so-called violent crime epidemic. Something Travis is fighting with his new weapon of choice.
You can enjoy it.
A book.
For me, this isn't a badge of honor. This isn't look at me, I look at my past, and I don't care about the past. Who cares? Any evil act I've done, I wish I could take it away.
Prisoner to the Streets is his memoir, the tale of a young man who refuses to call himself a gang member, but gets caught up in a kind of warfare anyway, an all too common story. Lately, reports of knife and gun violence have flooded the news here, with bold statistics sometimes overshadowing the stories of the victims. Take Kamari Barnes, for instance. He was only 15 when he was stabbed to death last year outside his school. In court, the teenage killer said he read Robin Travis's book and wouldn't have killed had he read it before.
It hurt. It hurt because there's no bringing Kamari Barnes back. Is there a reward for me now? Well done. Your book could have done something. No, this is my whole point. If you get us in the schools, why do we wait for tragedy before we say, I told you so?
His goal is to get into schools to warn of the dangers of the life he left. And the danger is on full display. Police in London regularly seize hundreds of blades off the streets, from butcher's knives to machetes to so-called zombie knives made only to kill.
I can't tell you the times I've turned my telly on and broken down in tears when I've seen people young people losing their lives. And of course, we've got a big enough chute that the weapons can go in here.
Ex-cop Michael Smith installs special bins across London, hoping would-be attackers will throw out their weapons.
The misconception that I have to carry a knife or I have to carry a gun because everyone else is, that's the mindset that we try to change.
He says hundreds are ditched in this bin alone, agonizingly close to the site of another recent murder. Israel Agunsola was just 18 when he was killed in April. He too was stabbed by a fellow teenager. The next day, loved ones gathered to mourn their loss and painfully consider how another life could be taken so young. London city councillors can't agree why they're seeing a spike now.
Young men are using a knife to settle their differences. Many young men are leaving home with a knife, even with no relation to gangs, because initially it used to be a gangs issue, and we're finding increasingly it's not a gangs issue.
Prevention starts younger and younger. In South London, the boxing lessons are meant as a way of channeling the kids' energy.
Good boy, high five.
Keeping them occupied now to keep them off the streets later. They might not understand that yet, but Ansarullah Ahmadi does. He joined 3 years ago.
You can walk down the street and then you have to watch your back sometimes because you never know what's going to happen. You could get like hit from the back, you could get stabbed.
We've got a shot coming across here. I've defended myself because the shot's
This program's called Dwayne-amics,
Good, you're doing some great stuff. Brilliant, brilliant.
named after the late son of Lorraine Jones. The kids keep her smiling despite what some see outside.
The youngest case that I had of a child being inflicted with a knife wound was 6 years old. Parents are saying that they're fearful of bringing their children to school.
In these streets near the boxing gym, her 20-year-old son, Dwayne Simpson, was stabbed. His mother rushed over as the paramedics tried to revive him. They failed.
He saw one of the young boys that he was training being chased by an older guy with a knife, and he went to go and help. And the judge ruled that Dwayne died a peacekeeper.
And I'm not talking like that in front of you, so why do you have to talk like that in front of me?
Back to Robin Travis.
Someone's come here to reason with you lot about real life.
He's been invited to this special school catering to students who've had trouble with authority.
In fact, before we start, young man, I'm going to ask you to take off your hood.
It's not an easy start. Sharing his own story to help these teens avoid becoming what he calls a prisoner to the streets.
I'm not talking down to you. I'm not trying to make you feel small, but this is how we'll talk to the old school me.
Maybe it's that they see themselves in him. Whatever the reason, they open up.
What age you get sent to prison?
And let him in.
Boy, with a C or K?
Travis feels the more lives he can touch, the better.
I can't change the world. I can't save the world. I just want to help enlighten people so they can change the world for themselves. Like, their own realities can be a better future. That's it. Really good, man. Your engagement helps a lot.
Travis knows where he's been and hopes to steer others away from it. It's plain to see this city is on a dangerous path. Thomas Dagler, CBC News, London.
As knife crime escalates, former London Mayor Boris Johnson has pointed to the decline of a controversial police tactic. Stop and search lets officers search people on the street if there were reasonable grounds to suspect they had weapons, illegal drugs, or items to be used to commit a crime. The practice was curtailed a few years ago over concerns that it didn't really work and it seemed to unduly target young black men. Now, the current London mayor, Sadiq Khan, has thrown his support behind a targeted forum of stop and search. He's also called for an increase in police budgets.